You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Welcome to the Nerds Pod. That's Pooba, that's Pete, is your host Cole, and we're going to talk Squid Games right here. International, great show from Netflix, by far very popular, very famous, and very controversial. I'm going to set it off quickly because we have a lot to cover. Fellas, let me know. Did you watch the show in its native language with the subtitles, or did you see it in the English dub?
English
I'll
dub.
go first. Go ahead, Pete.
English dub for me. It wasn't trying to read anything while I'm watching these people get executed.
This battle royal had to be heard in Korean. I think we do a disservice to the actors and actresses when we do this. I would do the same if I was watching Money Heist. That's a Netflix show that's in Spanish on English subtitles. Man, the delivery of these actors, I can imagine what it looked like I heard it on dub, but to hear it in their native tongue, to watch the pain and the way it depicts in the show in their native tongue, I was okay with reading that all day long.
I watched it in English. I don't want to keep looking down in the screen and reading everything. Although, Pooba, I have to admit, you're absolutely right. Watching the show in its native language, it hits a little different. And especially like with Thanos' part, when he throws a little English out there, I didn't get to feel that because I was hearing the whole thing in English, but I'm pretty sure you probably laughed at that part when he started talking in English. But we're going to get right into it, man. So, Pete, tell me, what was your gut reaction after finishing the series?
It was I loved it. Let me just get that out of the way. I loved the whole series. At first, after watching the first series, I'm thinking they didn't really have to do a second series, but they did a great job writing the story for the second series. It looks like they've split the second series up into two series, second and third. But overall, it was great. I heard about it when it first came out, and you hear word of mouth, you hear social media, but didn't really get me to watch it. What got me to watch it is us doing this show, and Cole recommended this to us, and he watched some shows for the show that he normally wouldn't have watched, which is The Last of Us. He had to catch up on that, and Invincible, he had to catch up on that. And I know it wasn't his cup of tea with all the gore and Invincible, but he did that for the show, so we did that for the show as well, watching Squid Games, and don't regret it at all. It did not disappoint. Loved it. Every season was on the money.
The show was definitely recommended to me as well. I had I really didn't care to watch the show because of the gore and the hype about it. But my wife was telling me that she had tickets to the Squid Games New York City experience, and if I wanted to go, so I said, all right, I'll go. And since I wanted to go, I ended up forced to watch the show so I could know what I was getting myself into. But I thank her for that because the writing was just absolutely phenomenal. It's just a great, great show, and I'm happy I didn't miss out on it. Pooh, I want to ask you the same question. What was your feelings after watching the entire series?
I mean, this is now probably one of the top 10 shows that I've ever watched. It has from comedy to suspense to thrill to, as a horror fan, the gore enough to feed my dirty soul. But I think it's a great show. I question the ending a little bit, Cole. I got to tell you that. While I love the show, still in my top 10, I question a little bit of the ending. I know we'll get into it a little bit, but I mean, to take kids' games and throw it in this particular manner, and then the loss of life through kids' games, it's unheard of. It's not something that you would normally think to put together. But just phenomenal writing, phenomenal acting. I want to say Lee Jung Jae is his real name, and Song Gi Hun is the guy. But man, and I know we're gonna butcher some of these names, and I'm hopefully we'll use some of the numbers to relate to this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's I remember when it first came out and all the costumes in triangle, circle, and square. What a phenomenon! And it deserves its place. It is the first time that we've ever seen anything like this. You're not gonna anything after this is just a bite or a copy of this, and I'm so glad they did it. Like it's better to have loved than lost, and never to have loved at all. So I loved every minute of it, but I was a little taken back by the ending, but let's get into this.
We'll definitely get into it for sure, man. Hey Pete, are you surprised of the global phenomenon? Because this is based on Korea, and the creator of Squid Games, it took him 10 years to make this show, and then another for season 1 alone, and then another 6 to do season 2 and 3. Like you said, like 2 and 3 was kind of like a mashup of one show. It did take him about over 15 years to create the show. But are you surprised that internationally everyone's enjoying this?
No, this is one. Every so often we'll get a show like this that it becomes it's a hit, and everybody has seen it. Everywhere you look, you're going to hear about it and see something about it. Look, you can change your avatar on Call of Duty to play as the characters from Squid Game. So that just shows you, to me, it shows you how how successful it was, being that it branched out into other things, especially a video game. So you're playing Call of Duty, and you look to your side and you see somebody in the green jumpsuit. Whether it was from the first season, you see one of the guards in the pink. You even see the head gamesman. But it's, to me, yeah, it definitely shows the reach it had. Like you said, it's global, and when it starts getting into other platforms, that's when you got a hit.
I like games. Like I think that's what really gravitated me. Just like yourself, and with all the extra things that come with this. And since this is based in Korea, it's interesting that they have their own games, which is a Squid Game, right? And then you have these other games that I think worldwide we all played. So let's start off by season 1. We have player 456. I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to mispronounce his name and give respect to the actors and the characters' names. So I will call them by their call numbers out of respect. So we got player 456. He's a horse betting. He's out there trying to win some money. He ends up getting pickpocketed. Now he's stressed out. Loan Sharks is after him, and he finds the recruiter. Pete, tell me, what was your thoughts about the recruiter after watching the entire show, his role within the Squid Games?
Well, that was his job. Seek out the people who are going to fit the description of who they're looking for, which is, we need people who are down on their luck, who are looking for the quick fix or the quick buck, like Puma said, win the scratch offs, win the lottery. We're looking for people like that, because if we got somebody who's financially stable, they're not going to put it all on the line, because if they lose, they're going to die. So you know what? I'm good. I don't have to play this, but I'm not good, so I need to play this. That's what you're looking for. And he went out there and he found that. And I think you can measure how desperate they were by playing that first game, which is, look, if you lose, I get to slap you.
A small price to pay.
It's a small price to pay, but it's still demeaning. I'll give you money, but you don't have to pay me money, but I get to slap you. That shows, I think, that showed their desperation with, I need to get out of this financial hole that I'm in. So the recruiter was looking for that. And I remember later on in the show, they caught him across the subway platform, and he was recruiting somebody else. So yeah, I thought it was brilliant the way they did that. And I think that adds a lot to the fact that, look, these people are going to stay because their backs against the wall financially.
Do you believe in real life people would make the same choices as the characters did in the show?
Without a doubt. Without
Yeah,
a
I would think so too, especially when you're in debt. So eventually he ends up accepting the game and goes into the game. Like Puba pointed out earlier, he is player 456, which is 456 players, but only one can win. And now they're playing the first game. Again, I like games, red light, green light. So we get into a democracy when it comes to this game. I like the show because it also gives you this false opportunity to choose whether you want to continue playing the game or not. And I like the way they do it in order. They'll either go from the first player to the last or the last player to the first. X means that you do not want to play this Squid Games no more. Circle means you want to stay in the game and continue. By the way, for those that saw the show, it's also interesting that for every player that's gone, that's another million wongs that is collected. So, it really gives you a choice. As we can see, we have player 001. Now, we don't really know about this player, but he ended up choosing to end the game. Pete, were you okay with him saying, you know what, let's just end this right now?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you look at it and you see some of the people are freaking scared, man. They don't want to die. They realize the consequences of losing, and it's permanent, super brutal. And no hesitation. You're out. You're getting they're lighting them up, and that's it. Their bodies are there until the game is over. They come with the coffins and take those away. But to see that, I'm not surprised there were enough people the first time to say, "Nah, let's get out of here, man, because this is too much."
It is a lot, and then oh my gosh, I really like the writing in this. But being in the real world was also a lot for them, you know? So, Puba, let me ask you, what role does guilt, mortality, and personal responsibility play in the characters' decisions as far as going back to the game? Because they ended up going back. And give me an example of that.
I think
if you can.
No. But you have to think that when in season one, when they voted, to go back home, it was the morality portion of it, and then reality hit when they went back home. They were not happy. They were still in the same hamster wheel in a sense for their lives. So I think for the most part, they were dead already to society, and they were dead already to themselves, because there was no moving forward in their lives based on their situation. And again, people are going to get down on their luck sometimes, like Pete said, and I think they did a really good job of showing why they went back. And it was about, my situation is not going to change. A lot of these people were middle age, older. There wasn't going to be any change within the next 20 to 30 years. So if they were going to gamble, they were going to gamble with their lives. And I think at the most part, you think about it like, how many other people would actually get hurt if they tried to continue doing the wrong things in their lives, like 456's mother. I forget the lady's name in season one that had her brother at the home. The way their lives were going, they were probably going to hurt more people than help. So then why hurt more people if I could just hurt myself, go in there, and if I could win this, then I come off like a champion, and I never have to go back to that life. So there is a portion of people in reality that they forget their morality, trying to get things done in their lives. And I think for the most part, for in season one, choosing to go back was choosing not to continue the current lives that they were living outside of Squid Games. So did you blame them? Did you not blame them? I mean, that's all perspective to whoever watches it. I understood when they went back. I completely understood, because there was nothing in their lives being outside of the Squid Games. So why not try to win it?
Easy. Now we go into another game where everyone gets teamed up. and we're gonna play a game that I'm pretty sure we all played sometime in our lives, and that's tug of war. I don't like tug of war. Tug of war for me is more of a strategy game. Sometimes you can see that there are more stronger people on one side than the other. Poopa, you thought it was fair the way they made the teams? And obviously, as you can see, pardon me, the 001, the player, which is very important for season 1, he ended up giving them a strategy even though they were the weakest team.
Yeah, I think strategy wins in most cases, right? Like you could have, I think about baseball and how they move the players around the baseball field depending if they're a pull hitter or if they're opposite field hitter. I think strategy wins in most cases, and that's what tug of war is. I actually love tug of war. I've seen it before where you create an anchor, you wrap the person in around their waist, the back, and they're faced the other way and they're crawling while the other people are pulling. So I've seen different strategies for a tug of war. I think this was awesome. It's live in effect when you're watching it, and you're watching TV and you're like, okay, let me go this way. You're watching it. Again, it's just great, right? Because of the fact that you have powerhouses and they show what the powerhouses can do. You have the strategies that 001 and 456 were part of. And you have that deep fall. So for me, for the most part, I enjoyed it because usually tug of war, it's water or sand that you would fall into. Here you're tugging for the rest of your life, and if one goes, they all go, which is crazy to me.
Save your bullets, because you're going to fall. No bullets needed this time. You're just going to fall to your death.
Yo, fall to your death. An entire team falls to their death. And by the way, Pooba, I want to be on your team because you like the game. You have the great strategies. I hope we can link up. 016 is linking up with 025.
I'm going to be playing at 457. I'm not playing.
Oh, my gosh. So now I want to continue talking about these games because these games are so much fun. And we will get into a little more depth about the show. But this question goes to both of you guys. I'm going to start with Pete first. They start playing marbles. Marbles is a very interesting game. They had no clue what the game was actually about, but then you end up teaming up. It's 3 of us, so one of us was going to link up with the other. Unfortunately, one of us had to lose. So I'll start with Pete first. What you thought about that game, and was it super intense for you? And the scene?
Yeah, it was, because he kind of took advantage of that other guy that was on their team. I forgot the number, but it was that guy that 456 was always like giving his flowers to. Oh my God, he was so smart. He went to the school. I forgot his number, but he was about, listen, I'm trying to get this money. Because he was, he had a good job and was in school, but I think he made like bad financial decisions. So he didn't care about nobody else, and he showed, especially in this scene, that he took advantage of this guy. And there was the other scene where that real tough looking guy, the guy who had sex in the bathroom with that crazy chick, he lost and challenged the guy again, and the guard said, "Yeah, you have to accept this challenge," and then he won. That was crazy. The whole game, the whole scenario. But then you get to 456 and 001, and he kind of took advantage with the fact he did and he didn't, as you'll talk about later. But he took advantage of the fact that he kind of wasn't all there, and he wasn't able to keep track of how many marbles he was able to get and how many marbles he was able to bet. But the scene there was intense. But mainly because he took advantage of that guy and gave him a bag of rocks instead of the marbles, and of course, he lost because of that. But that one was kind of, I mean, I get it. It's dog eat dog because listen, I don't know any of these people in here, and I'm gonna die, so I'm trying to survive and get that bread. So I don't know this cat. So
that's the beauty, because if you're playing with someone you don't know, then the game is much easier. The thing about marbles is when you play with someone you do know, that's when it gets extremely interesting. 001 called him out and said, "Oh, I see what you did. You think you're okay with taking advantage of my dementia and having me lose? Okay, you do what you have to do. You're the one that has to live with that." So now we got half of those challenges, and they playing this hopscotch tower glass. I really, really like that part as well. That's another very interesting game. As you can see, one of the players actually makes glass, but the front man started to notice, hey, this guy knows about glass, so he turns off the light to give him a disadvantage because he doesn't want to give them an advantage. So we have the front man here, and then we got these VIPs. These VIPs come in, and now it gets very interesting we have these people that are actually watching these games. As the hopscotch game goes, 456 barely makes it, but he makes it through. Great. Now they're going to celebrate. They'll have a dinner. There's only 3 players left. One is his friend, and then the other one is the girl. And what was interesting was they fed them. They had them good, but they left them knives. There was also like a riot as well. I'm trying to give you guys everything at the same time, trying to get more deeper into this. So now, as the girl passes away, and it's only 456 and his friend, they're going to play the final game. The final game is Squid Game, which is the name of the show, and rightfully so. I never knew about the game, but it was interesting to learn. And I'm not going to lie, at this age, I wouldn't mind trying to play Squid Games in real life and, use a chalk and actually play without no casualties, of course. But P, I wanted to ask you, now this is the last game, and 456 asks for the democracy again to end the game, but his friend ended up offing himself, having trust that he was going to take care of his mom. You think his friend did the right decision?
To kill himself? I mean, either way, he would have taken care of his mom, because if he wins, he could take care of his mom himself. So I guess he just was over everything. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I will tell you, I'm sorry, fans, don't lose that thought. But if they did forfeit the game, they're broke. They don't win.
That's not where I was going with it. What I was saying was, if they ended up fighting and he won, then he would have taken that money. He could have taken care of his mother as his own self. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it was different from season 1 to season 2, because in season 2 they was able to get something if they were able to quit. I think it was. But if they quit, it would have went in season 1. If they would have quit, the money would have went to the families of the people who had already lost. I think that's what it was. So when I saw him do that, I was like, oh man, like, no, keep going. Like, you know what I mean? You're at the last game. Don't give up now. But it was intense. Intense. It's for all that money, which turned out to be $31 million. And it's intense all the way through. And this is just season 1. And yeah, that finale was awesome.
Props to player 456. He ended up doing that, giving the money to the mom and also the child, and doing what he had to do. He also painted his hair red to remind himself about the games and stuff like that. Puba, he's about to go and leave and link up with his daughter in the United States of America. But he turns around and decides that he wants to end the game. Well, what are your thoughts? I'm very interested to know. What did you think about him turning around and trying to finish these games?
Turn around. I didn't understand it. Like, as a person that just went through that hell to win $31 million, knowing that the goal was to be with my daughter, right? The part of season 1 that we understood why he was going through this, because if he had this money, he doesn't seem like a loser the way his mother was depicting him. Not his mother, sorry, his ex-wife was depicting him. And I understood what the goal was, and he was there at the finish line. He could have definitely moved out to California, bought himself a nice crib, used the money to invest properly, and be with his kid. I would have done that in a heartbeat. I would not have turned around. I wouldn't have painted my hair red, by the way. But
and the series would have ended right there.
Right there. That's it.
Off. Yeah.
Thank God, made it. Yeah, no, I don't get it.
I think it would have. And Puba, just to jump in, I would have been okay with that actually. If it would have just ended,
that would have been dope. That would have been dope, and it would have ended our story. But no, 4, 5, 6 decided that it was blood money, and he didn't want to use this money on his kid because it was blood money, which she still got. But I didn't get that part at all. Like I don't understand it, and if someone can explain it to me, but his duty was to his kid, man, and I don't know. A shout out to all the good fathers out there that understand that paying child support is it doesn't fulfill your fatherly duty, and he had an opportunity to fulfill his fatherly duty big time, and he decided that Squid Games and the blood money and the things that they were doing were so immoral that he had to turn around to end the games. He knew it. He saw the guy playing the jockey game and ran towards it. He was at the airport, ready to get on the plane, turns around. And again, he's like, I can't do this. I can't live with myself with this blood money, knowing that this is going to happen to someone else. And that became the goal for him, is to end the games. Yeah, I mean, again, don't get it. Just go with your kid. You got $31 million in your bank pocket, bro. Go. Don't even look around. Don't even look around. That's my take.
Well, Pete's gonna break it down for you because, like we were talking about earlier, season 2 and 3 is actually together, and we are going to start working on. We're going to start talking about season 2 and 3 at this very moment. By the way, if you guys enjoy the Nerds Pod, please subscribe, like, give us a comment. Let us know what games did you like. So, Pete, let's go with season 2. So I'm gonna bring in the fact that I like what the recruiter did. Everything seems like a game. I did like the opportunity. He bought the scratchies and he had the bread and offered it to the homeless people. Which one would you like? One of the homeless people said, "Oh, I lost in the scratchy. Can I have a bread?" And dramatically, he just shot that down. But Pete, let me ask you. You think 4, 5, 6 should have returned to the game? What was your thought on him returning to the game and the way he did it?
Story-wise, I get why he returned to the game. He was having the flashbacks. He was, I get it. I get, which is a good way to extend the series. We need a season 2. This is the story for it, which I get. He wanted to stop the games because he didn't feel right about it. Me, nope. Sorry. Somebody else is gonna have to stop that, man, because I got $31 million in my pocket. I'm out. Like Puba said before, I'm going to be with my kid. I can be in her life now. I can give her everything she wants. There is no way, after being around 455 people dying, there's no way I was going back to that. It's not my job to stop those games. I survived it. It may be blood money, yes, but I put myself in that position and I survived it. Now, it's kind of suspect what he did with the old man, but all everything else, I think he earned his keep, and he earned that money. And he was trying to even save his friend at the end, and he killed himself. But nah, man, I would not have gone back. But I get why they did the story, to go back and stop it because of what he experienced. But doing the tracker and the tube so those guys can follow him, I thought that was cool until they found it.
That's right. Like there's other side stories going on within this show. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's you're just constantly looking back and forth, not only with the games and inside Squid Games, but also outside what was going on, and we'll get deeper into that because player 001 in season 1, we ended up finding out that he was the front man. The front man, the creator of this game, which is kind of nuts. But then, like, my mind was blown because he's 001. He's the first player in the game. So now 456, he's back in the game, but we have these new characters. We have 222, which is pregnant. We have 333, which is her baby father. We got the son, the mom, and a bunch of other characters that are in there. So Puba, season 2, they play this game called Six-Legged Pegaton. What you thought about that game? It's a six-legged race with a bunch of different games in it.
It was intriguing because I've never seen that one before, right? So I've seen the portion of the games where they were playing. There were some games where they were dropping the jacks as the closest thing I ever played to that type of thing, where they were dropping and picking up.
What about the spin top?
The spin top again was dope. Put it on the string, let it go. I could rock that. I could have done that.
I used to play that in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, you know the funny thing is this, right? And I guess I'll ask the question after I finish the statement with the games. It was crazy to see how they had to work in tangent. It was crazy how they actually had to pick who played what game. And they were asking each other, like, "Are you good at this? Are you good at that?" So there was a lot of strategizing before that, which is crazy to see. But when the first group lost and they blasted them right there, and it was like games on pause, they came in, took out the bodies, did not clean the blood. Like, they are not clean. You're going to see that while you're playing the game. Yeah. That is the craziest part to me, where they would, again, because you're going to see body parts, little chunks of pieces of people as they shot them. That was crazy to think that. Even the pressure that people put on themselves. 001, when he was slapping himself and going bananas. I didn't know if he was acting to be that way or to lose on purpose.
I thought he was.
I didn't know. Like, I don't know. Like, are you
backwards, yo? Like,
he messed up. Yeah.
I say he's doing that on purpose, bro. He's gonna get the kill.
Yeah.
And mind you guys, he's 001. So we already knew 001 is the front man. Get it? Front man. Yeah, front. Yeah. He's putting up a front right there.
Yeah, so that was crazy. I guess the question that I particularly have is, I think Ji-Young 456, if 001 was the man behind the games the first time around, shouldn't he have picked that up? Like, 001 is always someone that's internally. Like, that's where my headspace was at. Like, yo, come on, bro. You should know that 001 kind of did you dirty last time. Why would you think it'd be different this time? Especially if they started with red light, green light the first time around again.
That's a good question. I
don't know. Like that's the part where sometimes I'm like, come on. I would never have trusted 001, especially coming back. That's just me in my headspace. Again, the nitpicker of the show. We'll do that to you. But no, again, the game was dope. Again, the best part was when that he was slapping himself. Because I really didn't know whether he was playing because how do you get away with not shooting him? But then again, they were the last group to go. So if he would have actually lost, they would have killed everybody minus him.
That's correct.
Smart play by the games to do it that way as well. So regardless of what it is, the tension was palpable because you had to work as a team and a tandem, even though it was an individual game. A props to the guy that I think it was. Forgive me if I'm saying the he/she guy. Did it mad quick and he killed it with that stuff. Like that was dope.
Player 147 or 149.
I wish I could tell you right now. I don't have it all in my head right now because I'm still consuming the ending of it. But I think overall, when they have to play team sports, it changes up because then you don't know if you link up again and going back to season one. If I come back and make this person my teammate, am I going against them or am I better off with them off my team?
But that's a great point. That's a great point that you bring up because him being the front man, there's really no danger with him. It looked like he was actually having fun playing the game. He kind of like came back to life and was like, hey, we're just having a good time here without even really thinking about those consequences. But that's a very good point, Pooba. So shout out to Lee Young Hung, man. He played Storm Shadow in G.I. Joe. That's my favorite G.I. Joe character. And I caught that right away. Once I saw him, I said, I know that guy from somewhere. But Pete, let me ask you. How important was the use of child games in shaping the psychology tone of the series?
I would think that I would think if I was in that situation, oh yeah, I've done this before. I can do this now. I've done this a million times. I've played red light, green light. I played with marbles before, or top like you said, or like jacks in that game. I've done this before. I can do this. People believing that they can do it. Like it's not like let's say American Ninja Warrior. Not everybody's saying I can do that. But if it's a child's game, you're saying, yeah, I played that before. I can do that. So that to me, and especially, oh yeah, well, I'll keep playing because they're giving us kids games that I've played before and I know I can do this. As opposed to American Ninja Warrior stuff, yeah, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. So you know what? I'm going home. You know what I mean? So yeah, that definitely plays a part into people continuing to stay there because the reward is all the money in that piggy bank above the room.
Yeah, man. Udo, which game was your favorite or most intense?
I'm gonna have to say red light, green light because again, because it set it off, and that's the one game that you want to see again when you rewatch. When you go into season 2 and 3 because you saw season 1, it's the one game you want to see again, and it's the one game that I don't think that they want you taken away from. The one that was super intense, and I'm only saying this because I recently got operated on my ankle, was the jump rope, and like how many times can you jump that rope without being tired? And then the fact that again, smart move, be one of the first ones to cross, block everybody else.
I was saying the same thing. I thought that was genius. Yes.
I mean, Jesus Christ! Like I was rooting for that guy. I was like 4, 5, 6. Stay out of it. You got a baby. Just stay out of it. Just stay out of it.
He kicked them off.
Because if you think about it, yeah. But the jump rope, to see them jumping rope and then jumping rope in the same place and jumping rope in the same place. Even Minsu, who was high as hell, looking at the guy jumping up and down. Like I was expecting him to jump up and then you see him fall completely and not get back up. So that was probably the most intense. And that scene as well at the end is probably the most gut-wrenching at the same time as well. But like that gave me probably the most anxiety of all the shows. And it maybe because it's recent, that one gave me the most anxiety.
Pete, same question. Which game was your favorite or most intense?
You saw me go like this when he said the jump rope. So that was one of the favorites. So it's tied with the other one, the merry-go-round. When they called out a number and they had to go to a room with that number. That to me, because they started just pulling anybody. You got into the room before you close the door, they kicked them out. That to me, and then you see 001, he had to kill that guy. So they had the right amount of people in the room. So those two games for me, the jump rope was the most intense because he was trying to get back to help her. Her ankle was purple, bro. I was like, she's not making this, dude. And it was good that he didn't figure it out over there. She made the decision. Look, you made it with my baby. I'm not gonna make. I can barely walk. I'm not gonna jump. And then I didn't notice at first there was a break in the middle of the track, so they had to jump the rope and then jump that as well.
That gap in the bridge. Yep.
that those two games were the jump rope for me took the. What killed me was 100 goes, "Hey guys, we need somebody to go first," and they were like, "You go first, bro! Like what are you talking about? Go ahead." And he wished he went first after he saw what the guy was doing when he got over there. He was pushing people off. But that 100 killed me. He was like, "Yeah, we need somebody to go first." Yeah, you go, bro. What you talking about? Those two for me.
Yeah. Dope. Mingle was really, really good. Where you have the rooms and the numbers.
That was
and
great.
That was kind of nuts. You kind of try to strategize in the beginning and say, okay, if they call this number, if they call 4 and it's us 3, we just need one guy. Or if they call whatever, 001, I think the number was 2 and 3 people were there and he killed one of them just to show because he couldn't give up his cover like Puva was saying earlier. It was a strategy with that, and he had to kill that one of the players just so they can survive, because if not, the other 2 would die. But for me, was hide and seek. Whoa, let me tell you, hide and seek is fun if you're not gonna get offed. It was intense all the way through for me because first I thought it was a random pick, red or blue. Then when they showed you the rules, it was like, okay, red to kill, blue to hide. I mean, red to seek, blue to hide. Now you have, this is what I like about this, that when they give the twist, you can choose. The game's going to start in a half an hour, but you can choose to switch sides. I would have stood red. I got to ask you guys, if we're playing, we're this far into the games, are you going red as the seeker or blue as the hunter? Puba, I'll ask you first.
Red. No doubt about it. Red.
So you only have 30 minutes and you have to off someone.
I'm off them. Yeah, good. Good to go. Thanks a lot. Thanks for showing up, Blue. You're my boy, Blue. And I would have stabbed him.
What about you, Pete?
Same, red.
Red altogether. Look, I want to give a shout out to the show as well because we are the Nerds Pod, and they give out little Easter eggs. Thanos, the character, had the purple hair, and his nails were painted as the Infinity Stones. They mentioned Wonder Woman, and the one of the VIPs corrected them and said, "That's not Marvel, that's is DC." I love that, and the fact that that reached all the way out there and then came back to us with Squid Games and the comic books. That is just so cool altogether, man. But Red, we're gonna have to. We'll just work together, guys, and just hopefully we get that group where we could go in and kill 222, the mom, and 149 because there's 3 for them. There's 3 in there, and we can kill them. So she ends up giving, and we got to go to the next round. But 222 ends up giving birth. Which is wild. I'm watching this scene and I'm like, oh my gosh, the baby's gonna cry and they're gonna hear you in there and stuff like that. But the whole hide and seek game was very intense and I loved it. After watching that, I was questioning myself, what would be the last game? And I knew it had to be Squid Games again, but I loved the twist about it. Fellas, what'd you guys think about that last game? And what did you feel about 456's decision to sacrifice himself? I'll go with Puba first.
All right. So I didn't like the ending. Like I stated before, 456, the goal here was to end the games. And when he tried to do the rebel thing and just create a rebellion inside there, that was the goal. Then the goal wasn't about ending the games. The goal became about having the baby survive. So we switched up in the middle of the games. We switched up the intent behind him winning the game. I guess a shout out has to go to the dad. 333. I want to say his number was.
Yep.
Yes.
And because I didn't see that. Like I thought the whole time when he wanted to bring the baby's mother over, when he actually he killed that she in the room, not knowing, because when he saw her, he was like, nobody's here. He closed back the door. His intention, and this is a problem I have with the show, his intention showed everything to have him and his family survive. And then on a not seeing it coming, he flipped and he was willing to toss that baby in the final game. In his head, you stay on that side, I'm going to win, I'm tossing this baby across. That made no sense.
I didn't get that.
To me.
I didn't get that. I wasn't like, for me, when I was Puba, when I was watching it, I didn't get that. For me, it left me wondering, what would he have done? Would he have offed himself and left the baby, or he would have tossed the baby? I didn't get that. I wasn't sure what decision. I know he wanted him and the baby to be at the end.
No, he was going to toss that baby.
Yeah.
That was the goal, because that's the easy kill. That was the easy kill, and because he was this this guy that was online that was that was talking about crypto and people lost a lot of money, hence why Thanos was kind of after him. But no, he was going to toss that baby. And again, for me, the writing of that part doesn't make any sense of it. And then how is 456 going to end the games if he offs himself and having the baby win? But again, it was about, at that point in time, it was like, hey, we're still human. There's still kindness in humans. There's still humanity. We don't have to be treated like horses. We're not horses. We're humans. I didn't get the ending. I didn't like it. I know Pete, I sent you a meme today where there was like, what everyone else wanted to see was him tossing the baby like a basketball over the thing. Again, the ending to me didn't make any sense with Ji-yoon offing himself. I hated the fact that the front man, his brother, spent the season 2 and season 3 on a boat. Like, come on. like you spent
remember the captain was working with the captain. I think his name was Park, and he was working with the Squid Games. Like that, yeah. So he was just certain.
No, I hear you, Carl. I get that portion of it, but we spent 2 seasons of him on a boat. We spent his brother was on a boat for 2 seasons and only got onto the island for 5 hot minutes, where he was like, "Why?" And his brother said, "I'm gonna walk away from you." Like, come on, you gotta give me more than that. You gotta give me more than that on that ending. Like, what's the point? Why? And what does his brother do? He left him with a baby. Like, come on. That doesn't make any sense. I get you get the money and the baby. Someone has to take care of the baby. I get, and I hope we get to the last part, but the ending for me on that last game and everything that happened on the island, the way it ended, made no sense at all. It was not a good ending for this story, not at all. Because look, the games are going to continue, so the whole protagonist doing what he has to do for this particular story did nothing, and we still don't get his brother's answer. Why? Because you were on a boat the whole damn time. That's why. Go ahead.
We had the lunchbox, man. I thought that strategy was legit, yo. They beat up the guy and they were like, "Look, we'll carry him over, toss him off, and we'll split the money." I thought that was genius within itself. But what was your thoughts about the final Squid Game and 456 sacrificing himself?
So I'm on the other side. I'm on the opposite side of Puba. I liked it. I liked the whole, okay, this is the pushing game. But wait, if I push him, he can bring me with him. So they took the pole that was in the middle of each shape to push people off. and they started beating this dude, like you said, the lunchbox strategy. But 456 holding on to the baby, and Pooba, this is where I kind of disagree. He doesn't know what's going on the outside because he doesn't have the tracker in his mouth. He don't have a way to communicate with these guys. So his objective changed to, he made a promise to the girl. And let's remember, he gave up the chance to go see his daughter. I'm looking at it this way. He gave up the chance to go see his daughter. He's helping her with her daughter. Insane that there's a pregnant woman in the games now. A mother and a daughter. A transgender. Like, the stakes were up. A guy who's given financial information, who bankrupted a lot of people, and of course he happens to be in there with one of them, which is Thanos. And then the other guy is a crackhead, and he's popping these pills like it's nothing. So there's so much going on in this game. But to get back to the end of it, I like the strategy that they were trying to use. They had their team. They were like, yeah, we're going to take out this guy and the baby. Those are the three we need to take out, and then we're all going to be on the last shape, and we're going to be and we're going to split the money. Of course, it didn't work out that way. It ends up with 333 and 456 and the baby on the last shape. I knew he was going to sacrifice himself. I knew it. This is the promise he made to her. I knew it. I was like, there's no way that. And then what kind of made it more intense was they're fighting. He's hanging off the side of the shape. He drops him. They didn't push the button yet to start the round. So he had to go push the button, start the round, and now that death meant nothing. So one has to be left, and I wasn't surprised. I liked it. Again, it was full circle. Again, he doesn't know what's going on with these guys on the outside. And look, only two of them are left alive. I mean, I'm sorry, three, because the guy who got arrested, it was only three of them left out of all those guys on them two boats. He didn't know what was going on. So I think his objective shifted to, you know what? I made a promise to her. I got to keep this baby safe. And at the same time, that keeping that baby safe was keeping him alive. So I did like it. I mean, I get what you're saying about the cop and his brother. It was kind of open-ended. It didn't really, they didn't really give us a conclusion to that. But I don't think it's a fail, because the ending with 456 was that good. And then, of course, after that, they do give us a little bit of a tease. But I did not have a problem with it at all. I really liked it.
What wowed me a lot was that the VIPs started making these rules and saying, well, if the baby crossed the bridge without the mom, it becomes the player. If the mom can't make it, then the baby can't make it. And then they were just going back and forth to figure out if the baby's going to be a player. I was shocked that the baby became a player. I don't know if I agreed with that, but then again, what you going to do off it? Of course. And if I wasn't sure if you're going to, when she gave birth, I thought they were going to be like, eliminate her. But the way the VIPs were playing it, these are just horses, right? They're just pawns. I did like the ending, the sacrifice that he made, because I think 456 realized that if he was to off the baby, he'll show the VIPs and that the game is rigged and there is no faith in humanity. The front man told him, like, I thought the front man was cheating when he gave him the knife and said, hey, the best thing for you to do is to off the other players and then you can leave with the money. You and the baby will be safe. Mm-hmm. But 456 was really looking, and then going back to season 1 when he saw the girl tell him, listen, you're a good man. You have a good heart. That's not you. And then eventually him sacrificing himself was great. Also, Netflix has a 30-minute conversation with the creator, writer, and director, 456, and frontman. And there was an alternate ending where 456 does survive. But I like the way he went about this with this. So I'm with Pete on that. But Pooba, I want you to continue telling me, take us out with the finale of after the games were done. Please tell me your take on the rest of the ending of this show.
Before I do that, Carl, I just want to say that the scene where the mother is asking the son to stab her so that she could move on was probably the most gut-wrenching scene in that whole thing.
That was a good one too. Yes,
that was I'll
wild.
never, when I think of Squid Games and I think of how things can turn on its head, that right there. And she was asking, he was like, I can't do it, so much that he tried, of course, kill the mother or the baby, which one of the two, and the mother had to do that. And I'm thinking, I'm going to ask you guys both that question. If you had to choose between $31 million and your kid versus this baby, are you tossing the baby?
Well, I'll answer first, Pete. I wouldn't be in that situation because, like you guys said earlier, I would have survived the first game and I would have left.
Same. You wouldn't have caught me back on that island for anything, bro.
So I would have not been caught with a baby in my hand having to make that decision.
I made some. If I'm going back on that island, I made other people's problems my problems. You wouldn't have caught me back on that island with $31 million in my pocket. No way.
But let's just say that that's your first season. Let's say that's your first season and you have that opportunity. What do you do?
Nah, we can't. We will be here all night with hypotheticals, bro. I don't know. You're saying, would you kill a baby? That's not a question I can answer. It's not a question I can answer.
I don't think I have the heart.
I guess, to answer it. It's a hard question to answer.
I don't have the heart.
I apologize for even asking.
No, it's not, you don't have to apologize. It's a tough question to ask. It's a tough question to ask. And yeah, the meme was funny that him throwing the baby. It was funny meme. But you're asking us that question. I can't answer that. I just can't. I can't answer that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Again, fair enough. If I had to choose my family and $31 million and a baby, I'll be the first one to say it. The baby loses. The baby loses. I'm gonna choose my family and $31 million. Again, this is my first season. Not in his situation where he came back. If you won Squid Games and it was you and a baby, and you have to choose between the money and your family or a baby. That's what I'm saying. Again, I'm just being fair enough to answer myself honestly. Yeah, but I'm shooting it like I'll probably do like the Kareem and do that. Towards the ending, I'll get to the ending there. It's crazy. I didn't like the fact that he gave the money with his bloody jacket because that's evidence. That's just evidence that the games actually happened. Did not like that at all. I think that wasn't a smart track to do. Nothing happens. Of course, we get Cate Blanchett at the end showing an American-style version of Squid Games, which is very cool to see Cate Blanchett. She's a 2-time Oscar winner. To see her do this, and if they push it forward with an American version, which I heard they are doing, understanding that that happened, it just didn't feel fulfilled. At what 4, 5, 6 had to do, I wasn't fulfilled with the relationship between the two brothers, and the fact that the games continue. Like I said, everything that Ji-yoon did was for nothing, and maybe it gave some humanity back to the front man to show who was the better human being. Because, like you said, one of the best things that they did was show what 001 had to do to be the front man. And he was given the same scenario that 456 was given, but 456 said, again, giving my faith in humanity based on this show, he showed that there is humanity in people, and we don't have to go at each other's throats to get ahead in life.
I got you, Pooba. I hear you, brother. But so tell me, man, after the games were done and everything, tell me more or less what you thought about the ending, because there was still a little bit more after that. Put me on and give me your take on that, please.
Yeah, so again, very cool that I think that Ji-yoon 456, his winnings still went to his daughter. I'm glad they transitioned to that, because we didn't see who the face was at the end. We just saw the black suit, of course, and finding the money. Then he's dropping off the money to his kid. It's tough when we don't see eye to eye with our kids, and the way she was talking about her dad, like, tell him to forget about me, which again makes me sad because, if he would have chucked the baby, he could be with his daughter. but that didn't happen. And I think it was cool that he kind of felt like, you know what he did transition to where human beings, let me be human being like and give this to his daughter. I don't agree again with the with leaving the bloody 456 sweater, because that shows evidence that the games actually happen. So that kind of threw me off just a little bit. But it was very cool that they're transitioning over to an American Squid Games in a sense, where you see now Kate Blanchett and all you hear is the slap. And he looked to the right, she looked at him. I don't know if they know each other, because the way they looked at each other, like, yeah, I know who you are, you know who I am. So that was a little confusing there, but I'm curious. And I think they can save the ending of this story if the front man and his brother end the Squid Games in America. I think that would be very cool. Closes all of us with the baby, the brothers, and I'm hoping he's not on a boat the whole time at the end. So, with the American series, sorry. And, so that's where my headspace is at. Listen, I can't tell you enough how much I love Squid Games. I just think that there were some misses at the end. But I'm very cool with the way it ended. Baby, money, kid with money, and the front man kind of gaining a conscience, maybe.
Right. The director was talking about that as far as like why the games continue. So like I said earlier, if you guys want to check out that 30-minute conversation of the creator, I thought he had some really good points. But me personally, I think the show was fantastic. You should just leave it alone. It should not come to America. But like you guys were saying, it's a money grab. So of course they're going to end up doing some spinoffs. So Pete, when I asked you to watch this show, I was comparing it a little bit to Running Man. So I have a question for you. Do you think Squid Games will have a lasting cultural impact for those that get to watch this show?
Being that we kind of touched on this already, that the because it's kind of transition to different platforms, like I spoke about before, Call of Duty, you're being able to change your avatar to one of either the guards, one of the players, or even the front man, and even I think even the doll at red light, green light, you can play with as well. There was a lot of cool graphics. I think they did a great job with that, transitioning it over. But I think so, yeah, because unfortunately, it is going to come. I think they're going to have an American version of the game. And I think they're going to a couple of different locations worldwide to do a version there as well. From what I saw, and I wish I would have saved that graphic that I saw, but I'll see if I can dig that up. But yeah, I think it's number one on Netflix right now. It's a good show. It's a good show. Unlike Pooba, I was okay with the ending. I had a feeling he was gonna do that. Again, like you said in the first season, they said, "Listen, you're not that guy. You're a good guy. You're a good person." And I also look at it as, he probably looks at the relationship he had with his daughter was probably gone at this point.
Yeah.
Should have. Again, we spoke about this as well. Should have stayed on that. Should have got on that plane. And he's not in this predicament that he's in. But it's. I think the decision he made had a lot to do with his daughter as well. But again, the effect it has right now, it's hot right now. It's popular. It's the thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that ball's gonna keep rolling, man.
I watched a show called Money Heist on Netflix. It was made in Spain, the Spaniards, and then it was so popular, they ended up doing a Korean one. They did a spinoff and so on and so forth. So I understand how it's going to, continue moving on. But me personally, I wish they would leave it at that. And it would be interesting to see if anyone was to watch this show to really step back and look at society in a whole. So that would be my opinion. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Squid Games. From the shocking first round of red light, green light, to the moral twist of psychological warfare of season 3. Across 3 seasons, we've watched the games evolve, the stakes rise, and the characters reflect deeper and darker truths about power, survival, and society itself. Thank Puba and Pete and the listeners for sharing your insights and theories. If you made it this far, you're no stranger to tension and twist, but maybe like us, you're still trying to figure out what you would have done inside that arena. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, hit that notification so you could see other shows that we are going to review. And we'll see you guys real soon.
We will return.
The worst episode ever.